Mr. Cole.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, Mr. Secretary, General Dunford, Mr. Norquist. It's good to have all three of you. I really thank you for your service, and quite frankly, it speaks very well of the President that you were all nominated your respective positions and got such strong bipartisan support when the Senate considered you. So I appreciate that. Second, I couldn't help but laugh, Mr. Secretary, when I read your now famous remark about your sleep habits, and I thought, well, all of us sleep a lot better right now if you happen to be an American, thanks to you. So again, we're very grateful for that. I want to echo a little bit of what has been said up here several times, because I don't think it can be said often enough. When we look at the approach process, and I focus a lot on that, at the end of the day, there's only one or two outcomes this year. We're either going to have a continuing resolution, or we're going to have a negotiated bipartisan agreement. And as you've made crystal clear, the latter is much preferable to the former. And so I really want to emphasize that to where my colleagues are concerned, and quite frankly associate with myself with some of my Democratic colleagues' remarks. If we don't get to a good number in the non-defense area, we will inevitably end up doing something that nobody on either side of the aisle wants to do, and that's present you with the kind of dilemma that you outline in front of you. I think at the end of this day, this committee will give you at least what you ask and probably more. But again, if we don't get the process right, none of that will matter. And we can, they can authorize everything all day long until we actually get to the numbers where we can appropriate. Things don't happen. I do have a question. I know you're, in the last part of really working on the national security strategy, and we look forward with a great deal of anticipation to looking at that. But I'm curious if you believe, and this may be a little out of your lane, if you don't want to comment on it, that's perfectly fine with me. But some of us up here have been concerned for a long time about the lack of a new authorization for the use of force. We're really operating off things that go back to 2001, 2002, 2003. We're fighting a different enemy in a different place than we envisioned at that time. Would it be helpful for Congress to explicitly have this sort of debate and come to this sort of conclusions, obviously with the guidance from the administration, input from the administration and experts, or is that just a waste of time?
Sir, I don't believe it's a waste of time at all. The chairman and I have talked at length about this in our private conversations, and the Congress making a statement like that would hearten our own troops. It would reassure our allies around the world. It would put America out front in terms of a united, or the consensus of the Congress that this is where you think we have to be committed. I believe it's much preferable to leaving it to be argued about in bits and pieces over specific issues or troop strengths or something like this. And the chairman, I could have him comment too, but he believes it sends a real statement, sir.
Mr. Chairman? Yeah.
Congressman, that's exactly the conversation we had. I mean, I think it would send a loud and unmistakable message to our young men and women that are deployed that the people at home, in the form of the Congress, support what they're doing, and it is a consensus about what they're doing, and what they're doing is important.
Well, thank you very much for that, because I feel exactly the same way. I think it's a constitutional issue as well, and I think it means a lot when people of your stature tell us that it matters to the men and women that we've put in harm's way to do difficult things for. So, Madam Chairman, I would hope while we all work hard, and I know we will, on getting the appropriate resources so that we have at least the administration's request and perhaps some more, that we also push our respective leadership on both sides of the aisle to stop avoiding a debate that needs to happen. I've actually worked with my friend Mr. McGovern from Massachusetts. We probably don't see eye to eye on the issue, but we certainly see eye to eye on the importance of a resolution and a congressional statement. So I think that's part of our job ahead of us too. It's not just to give you the resources, which we certainly need to do, but to make sure that you've got the clear lines of authority and the unequivocal support of the American people as you go about carrying out the mission we've asked you to do. I'm not going to take the rest of my time. I yield back.